It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com from the Metal Cowboy Reloaded release. That is My Bad, Chris. And a bad man is on the phone with us. That would be our good friend, vocalist, and CMS friend, Ron Keel. What's going on, Ron?
Good evening, Chris and Neely. Good to talk to you guys. Always an honor, a pleasure, and a thrill to talk the rock and rock the talk from the Classic Metal Show.
Wow, look at that. Did you rehearse that?
I did not. No, you guys taught me well. I take my cue from my mentors like you guys. And when it's time to talk rock, or step up to the plate and deliver the goods, or nobody's going to listen. So I'm hoping that everyone is tuned in and having a great Memorial Day weekend, and I'm really excited to be back on the show again.
Excellent. Well, where are you, Ron? Are you in South Dakota, or are you out on the road somewhere?
I am in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in the luxurious home theater of the Keel Estate, watching the Western Conference Finals. I've got the game on the screen. It's halftime, so it's perfect timing. Huge basketball fan, and I love the playoffs, and I'm excited about the possibility of a Game 7 tomorrow with our man LeBron. You're a Cleveland guy. I mean, are you an NBA fan? You excited about this?
I've been watching, and while I think LeBron is a scumbag, kind of, I mean, I can't take away from how great he is. But, dude, he was unbelievable last night. That's for damn sure.
He sure was, man. And, 7 times, 7 straight years in the finals. And, a true team player, but a superstar. And I think that's a fantastic combination. I try and model myself after some of my favorite athletes like that. Try to be a team player, but also try to lead by example and come through in the clutch, man. So I'm excited about that. But I'm kicking back in my my home theater here after a long, hard day at the studio. I carved out a few lead vocal tracks from the new Ron Keel band album today. And the toughest thing about coming on the Classic Metal Show, and I talked to you about this, Chris, is that I don't like to drink before a major interview like this. This is important to me to be able to talk to you guys and to get my point across, to communicate with our listeners and our fans, and have a great discussion. So the hardest part about coming on your show is waiting all day and going through a couple of lead vocal tracks today without hitting some of that Jim Dean, but as soon as this interview is done, it's on.
Nice, dude. Well, dude, there is an actual reason I asked you to come on, and that's because I think you are busier than I think you've ever been. You have, 7 releases and different projects going on, and, this is like the busiest Ron Keel band has ever been, man. Where is this all coming from, and why is it all coming together right now?
This really wasn't planned, and I didn't even. It's kind of like the perfect storm. We've been trying to get those Keel albums, The Final Frontier and the 1987 self-titled album produced by Michael Wagner, the MCA years, if you will, our 2 highest charting albums. We've been trying to get those reissued. Literally for decades. Those are serious collector's items. Those 2 albums are a big part of our lives and our fans' lives that, from back in the day, 86, 87, and they have been out of print and unavailable on CD for a long, long time. So we've been working to get the right situation in place to release those on CD and get them remastered and reissued. And finally, after all these years, it came together with Rock Candy Records.
Okay.
Our friends Derek Oliver and those guys in the UK have made it happen. And those 2 albums are finally going to be reissued, remastered, all that. Now, of course, the last couple of years I've been working towards making the Ron Keel Band a legitimate recording act as well. After the Badlands debacle and all that we've been through the last 3 years with me and the guys in my band, not Keel, but the Ron Keel Band. So we're talking several different projects here. I'll try and keep it clear. But
sure.
These guys that have been on stage and in the trenches with me for the last 3+ years here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, it was time to take that project to the next level and Dave Ellefson, EMP Records, Megadeth. Dave Ellefson was a guy who I took the project to and pitched it to him. He loves it. Really wanted to allow me to do what I wanted to do in terms of being myself, not making a new Keel album, but making a Ron Keel Band album. And Dave got behind the project and re-released the Metal Cowboy CD that you just played, the lead track, My Bad. And we've got our new album, Fight Like a Band, coming out in August. So I'm extremely proud of that. That has got to take center stage, even though there's Keel news and Steeler news and Black Sabbath news and all this other stuff. My primary concern is that the Ron Keel Band project doesn't get overshadowed by the other releases. I don't want these all to cancel each other out. This is my primary focus, and my top priority is the Ron Keel Band album, Fight Like a Band, on EMP Outlaw Records.
Sure. Now talk a little bit about that deal and working with Ellefson, and I'm assuming that Tom Hazart is somewhere in the mix with this as well. How do you connect with them and make a deal in 2018? Because it seems what they're doing, and this is outsider looking in, so you can tell me I'm wrong. You're obviously talking to these guys. But it seems to me like what they're doing is almost opposite of what at least what Ellefson is. I mean, Ellefson obviously with Megadeth, and that's, a thrash band. And it seems like what he's doing with EMP is not really delving into that territory, but going into more of the classic hard rock, classic metal category with the bands that he's putting together on the label. Is that fair?
Well, the cool thing about David is that he's the bass player in Megadeth, a Grammy Award-winning thrash/metal artist and musician, but he has a full appreciation and love for all styles of music, kind of like I do. And so he's got EMP Label Group as the umbrella under which all this other stuff can reside. He's got Combat Records for the thrash. I mean, they've got some hard and heavy thrashing music on their labels plural. And Combat Records is the home for that. For us, they created a special imprint called EMP Outlaw, and we are the redneck rock and roll, cowboy metal, southern rock kind of flagship of EMP Outlaw Records. So each artist and each style of music has their own niche under the EMP umbrella, and that's one of the many things that David Ellefson and Tom Hayes are doing right with this label. Another reason why I wanted to come on board.
Sure.
Of course, I've known David for years. We both call Phoenix home at one time or another. Dave's still there. I grew up there. And we would pass each other at events and kind of said hello and shook hands. Hey, how's Phoenix? But a couple of years ago, David came to Sioux Falls, where I live now, and brought his band Dollskin, which really was the flagship artist for EMP Label Group. They came to Sioux Falls, and we did a show with them, and David performed with my band. We did some Megadeth tunes and some classic covers, some Van Halen, some Montrose. So during the course of that experience, I got to know David a lot better and got to see his business model, and we talked about music and the business. And that's when I really took notice of EMP and what he was doing with the label. But the following summer, what was it, last year, when Mark Slaughter released that album, Halfway There, what's it called? I think it's Halfway There. I apologize, Mark. I don't remember the title of your album, but I know it's a damn good record. And I got that album and I played it on my radio station, and just thought, what a fantastic release for Mark Slaughter, and it was on EMP. And of course, that kind of you realize that one of your friends, who is in the same kind of position that I'm in, Mark Slaughter is both a member of a band that bears his last name, Slaughter. Mm-hmm. He's also a solo artist, and to have a guy in that position partner with EMP for his solo album said a lot. At that point, that was where I realized perhaps this is a good home for Ron Keel Band. I sent David Ellefson some tracks that we had done in the studio, the Homesick single, which I think you guys played last year when it came out, and then the new Keel medley. a medley of Keel songs that we re-recorded some of those classics like Right to Rock, Tears of Fire, Somebody's Waiting, Because the Night. I said that to David, and I said, I would like to do an album with this band, and I think EMP is the right place for it. And he agreed and embraced it, hooked me up with Tom Hazer, and the rest is history. And the cool thing is, like I said earlier, David Ellefson sat across the table from me when we did the deal. He said, Ron, I want you to be you. Sing your life. 3 words. Sing your life. And that meant so much to me that he embraced who I am now and allowed me to create a record that defines my personality at this day and age. And we all love these classic reissues, the Keel stuff. It's great. 86, The Final Frontier, is a perfect statement of who I was at the time. But man, it's been a lot of years in between, and we evolve, we grow, we change. I don't see anything wrong with that. And my new album, I think, really captures who I am now, the experiences that I've been through in life, whether it's a bout with cancer or being on top of the world or losing your ass and everything in between. Those experiences count for something. I need to sing about them and write about them. And that's what we've done with this brand new Ron Keel Band album.
Well, Ron, it's no secret that you made a big life change moving from your home in Las Vegas and resettling in South Dakota to be a big part of the Badlands Pawn operation up there. And, unfortunately, within 2 years, that whole thing just folded up. And when all that came down, did you at any point go, oh, shit, what am I going to do now? Or did you already have a game plan? Or through the ashes of what was the Badlands Pawn experience, did all this spring up?
Well, thanks for asking that, Neely. And you were here. You were here when Doc and came for their reunion here in Sioux Falls for the Badlands Pawn experience, and nobody could have foreseen that. There were some red flags that came up day 1. I mean, at day 2 and day 5 and day 12. There were a lot of red flags, but you just keep believing, man, this is really cool. This is too good to be true. And at my age, in my mid-50s, to get an opportunity like that, to come to South Dakota and be the face and the voice of a multi-million-dollar franchise like that, just absolutely dream come true. Did I have a game plan for what if this doesn't work? Hell no. I don't prepare to fail. I just don't know how to do that. So yeah, it was a shock. Within, Renee was diagnosed with cancer. My wife Renee, the metal cowgirl, everyone who's listening who doesn't know me that well, she was diagnosed with cancer December 12th, and then the business shut down December 30th. So in the course of 2-3 weeks, we got slapped upside the head with a huge dose of reality. And at the time, my primary concern was taking care of her. And what do I have to do to be the best husband that I can be and support her and get her through this bout with breast cancer? And honestly, for a while, I wasn't sure if I would be able to continue with the band. I took a couple of weeks, and we got through her first chemo treatment, and her, got into the process of fighting cancer, and I realized that she was strong enough to support me still through the fight, and I had a new mission, so to speak. All of a sudden, what am I going to do? Am I going to quit? Am I going to stop? Or am I going to say, screw this, rebuild the band, rebrand the Badlands House Band as the Ron Keel Band, and keep fighting? It's in my nature to keep fighting. And I decided to keep it going. I did take some time off last summer from touring and performing because I had to be here with her through the surgeries. She's had, 6, 7? Honey, I think it's 7 surgeries now. And I had to take some time off last summer to be here during that process. But in the meantime, I was rebranding the band, creating booking shows, and starting to look at the long-range game plan of how to make this as successful as I possibly could. And I was excited about the project. I love my guys. The guys in my band are fighters like I am. And that excitement and energy of creating and moving forward and keep playing music, even the other projects like the Frank Hannon album that I did. Frank Hannon from Tesla came to the house. I think it was a couple of days after one of the surgeries, and Renee was going through a tough time, and Frank Hannon's on his way through town and stopped by. He brought his guitar. We played songs. We sang a track on his solo album, and he brought music into my house. That fired her up. She loves music. She smiles. She gets excited and inspired by my excitement, and I think that probably helped us get through that tough time. And hence the title track to the album, Fight Like a Band. We fought through the entire implosion of Badlands. We fought through my wife's bout with breast cancer. We fought through any of the personal and professional turmoil that we've all been through as a band to come out on the other side of this thing with an album which I feel is the best work of my career. To me, that's a huge victory, man. I hope everybody listens to it and likes it, because I sure do love it, man. It's going to be a fantastic album, and it's just a complete musical testament to what we've been through the last couple of years.
No doubt, dude. Well, dude, I'm going to go backwards a little bit here, because I'm just going to say it, and I've said it to you, and I've said it to her. Renee is a badass, man. There's no two ways about it. And I'll tell a real quick story that I have not told on the air. And you probably know it, but Neely probably don't even know this. When my kid first got diagnosed with cancer, which was in, I think, April, after Renee was diagnosed with cancer, I went on an absolute fucking tangent on Facebook, just because, like everybody does, they have their way to get it out of their system. And I went on this tangent about, how are we going to deal with this, blah, 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 blah. And Renee basically cyber smacked me in the head and was like, stop being such a bitch. she was like, I'm going through this, and it's not as bad as you're making it seem. And, if you put your head into that headspace, it's going to be that bad. So stop being that way. And her and I started talking, back and forth on the messenger, and she really got me into a headspace. And I'm writing a book about going through the whole thing with cancer, and whether she knows it or not, she is a big part of it for me, because she, while she was going through it, was convincing me to not panic. And I don't think she was giving me advice that she wasn't taking, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think she didn't panic. She understood that it was bad, but you know what? Bad shit happens to everybody, and you stay positive and you work hard, and whatever comes. But that was a lesson that I learned from Renee, man. So she's a badass, dude.
Yeah, she is. Thank you for sharing that story. And she is a badass, an inspiration to me and a lot of other people as well. How could I bitch or complain or stop or slow down when she is this relentless force of positivity in my life and in a lot of people's lives? Now that cancer thing, man, that's a scary son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Because my just this past week, man, I've lost dear friends. My best man at my wedding, Big George. You may have seen some of the stuff on Facebook. Gina Zamparelli, concert promoter in Los Angeles. And the list goes on of people that we've lost that were close to me, that were younger than me. And it is scary. It's painful. The message that I take from all of this is just live life to the fullest every day. I believe that we're all on a one-day contract.
Right.
And it could expire at any time. Make today count. Live your life to the fullest, the best you possibly can. Enjoy every moment. Hold your loved ones close. Rock out, and just have a good time while you're here. Because, like I said, we're all on a one-day contract.
No doubt, dude. Well, dude, since we were talking a little bit about Badlands kind of imploding, the radio station went along with it. It lasted longer, but it went too. But you guys have basically pulled that together too, and you launched an online station that I understand is doing quite well. KBAC Talk a little bit about how that's going.
That's correct, man. I have a hard time having someone else dictate when I quit or stop, and I did not feel that this wasn't time. You can pull the plug on me, you can turn the lights out. This show ain't over, man. You know, this show is not over. I sat with a few of my friends from the station, Crash, Crazy Frank, and the guys, and you guys, the Classic Metal Show, Neely, Chris, you guys were a big inspiration behind this because you proved to me, 17, 18 years ago, when I first came on the show, you showed me what internet radio could do. You guys had millions of listeners, millions of followers, millions of fans, and you're online. So you've been a huge inspiration to me. When they pulled the plug on the FM signal, KBAD, I said, hold on, guys. I just flipped the switch on my home computer, and Ron Keel Radio was broadcasting. When I went into the meeting, I held up my cell phone to the guys and said, look, guys, I'm on the air right now. And they heard my intro and my interview with Sebastian Bach, and they're going, whoa, it's online. It's the internet, man. And people still have trouble wrapping their heads around what frequency are you on? What station are you on? And I just tell them, hey, we're on the same station as Netflix, man. You get that? It's an internet product, and 90% of our listeners at KBAD were listening online anyway. I've got people streaming us online at the restaurant or the auto shop or the mall or in their place of business, at the office with the earbuds on. They're all streaming their radio and their music online anyway. When KBAD, the previous station now, I want to make sure the new station everybody knows is KBAC, KBACK.rocks is the website. But when we pulled the plug, or not when our boss pulled the plug, we had a 5.9 share in the ratings with the #1 rock station in the market. All right, and since then, the other rock stations, one of them's gone up a point in the Nielsen ratings. The other station has gone down a point in the Nielsen ratings. Where are all those listeners? They're listening to KBAC. They switched an internet address. They switched URLs. They were from KBAD to KBAC, and we have not missed a step. We've got 30 to 50,000 listener hours per month, over 10,000 web hits per month. And Chris, you turned me on to this Live 365 platform. You and I were talking about, because I consulted with you about what do I do next? How do I continue my radio career in some shape or form? And you and I talked about some options. You told me the Live 365 was really the only game in town, and you were right. Quickly, we catapulted to the very top of the live stations on the free Live 365 mobile app, and the rest is history. It's a blast. And while I love doing my syndicated Streets of Rock and Roll show, you guys know, man, there's a thrill to being live, whether it's in concert or on the radio. That live magic is addicting, and you search for those magic moments. Like when I'm on stage. I'm going on stage and doing a gig, and you're just craving those moments when everything sounds good, when it feels good, when the crowd's responding, and you're in your element. It's the same thing putting on a radio show. I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys know this. When it's right, it's so frickin' right. And you just live for those moments. And so I'm addicted to live radio. I do it 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday, when I can, and when I'm not on the road. And when I'm out, I'll pre-record the show, or I'll run sweepers, or whatever. But more times than not, you can find me on KBAC Radio during the week, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time.
Excellent. Well, Ron, we run a live chat room during the show, and I would say that, getting back to your point of there's nothing like the live experience, but, our chat room interaction is probably one of the biggest engines that fuel our live show. I mean, Chris and I can get into any subject, any discussion, any tangent, but with the addition of people making comments in the chat room, or even me taking live calls, during the show. And since we're uncensored, anything goes. it really makes the show happen, and there's no plan here with what we do, obviously, and whatever happens, and it just turns into magic.
That's right. That's the thrill of the chase, man. And thanks for reminding me. I should have been in the chat room the entire damn time. Now, I'm in there now. Let's see what's going on in the Classic Metal Show chat room. Tyrant Eric Dawson wants to know, has Keel ever opened for Def Leppard? No, I have not. But, there's always that possibility. Huge Def Leppard fan, and I've had Joe on my show. And Nathan from Kentucky says, Ron who? LOL. And Wagner says, everyone's ignoring Ron Keel. Sure, they were successful. Push Band, says Jackal One. I could just read your chat room for the rest of the interview. Wow, very cool. I'm sorry it took me so long to catch up. I knew that you guys had a kick-ass chat room on the site, theclassicmetalshow.com. And I just popped in there, and I'm ready to participate.
Well, we wouldn't want to take you away from your live basketball, though, Ron.
Oh, I'm watching 71-69. That's a close game at the third quarter, 6 minutes, 12 seconds left. Houston leading by 3.
Nice.
Well, play-by-play, baby.
Well, Ron, both Chris and I, we've been working very hard at, our normal jobs that pay the bills. And, this show has been on the air for 22 years. And, we don't plan on quitting anytime soon. But we both, I think I could speak for Chris as well as myself. We both take our hats off to your work ethic and in your ability to pull things together, especially after everything took a shit. And I hate to use a cliche, but I'm going to use one anyway. You took lemons and turned it into lemonade, and you just keep, going along. Well,
thank you, man. I have a different take on that. I took cat piss and I turned it into lemonade.
Now, do you still have any kind of a relationship with Chuck Brennan, or is that pretty much all in the past?
I do, actually. Relationship, I'm thankful for the opportunity that he put in front of me. He could have had anybody to lead his band and to be on his radio station. He did a lot of things right. He put me in this position so that I could build this band. He created the radio team that still surrounds me. These rock radio royalty guys, Crash and The Rev and Crazy Frank, brought me to Sioux Falls, where Renee has received the best possible care. I mean, if you're going to have breast cancer, you're probably going to want to be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, because the care here from Sanford Hospital has been absolutely state-of-the-art. She'll tell you. She told me, and I don't know if this is what she feels. If we'd have stayed in Las Vegas, she'd be dead. So for that alone, I am thankful that we were able to make this move and this transition. Now, you never know, man. It's the same thing with any record company. One day, you're on the charts and your record company loves you, and the management loves you. The next day, oh, you're off the label and you're done. It's that kind of business, and I'm used to that. I'm used to seeing riding that roller coaster, and it's not anybody's fault or anybody's responsibility. I take it upon myself. My success or my failure lies in my hands, and I can only make the most of the opportunities I'm given. So I think we've done that. We have taken cat piss, and we have made some seriously good lemonade, and we have spiked it with some Jim Beam, some vodka, and we are drinking our share. I mean, life is good, and I'm very thankful for the blessings that my wife is healthy, and that we're happy, that we've got a beautiful house in a place where, it's Sioux Falls, and it's not Vegas, Nashville, L.A., well, whatever, but the airport's 5 minutes away, man, and I've got shows this year all across the country. Next month I'll be in, Wyoming, Idaho, and then I've got 80s in the Park in Cocoa Beach, Florida here in September, and all points in between, man. Like I said, I'm 5 minutes from the airport, So it has not inhibited or put a damper on any touring possibilities. We were just on the Monsters of Rock cruise with Keel, a couple of months ago. And, Vegas was an address as well, man. I loved the nightlife and the Vegas thing. I liked it. But however, in 2014, before I moved to Sioux Falls, I did 70,000 miles on tour that year to support the Metal Cowboy album, and I did one show in Vegas. Out of 70,000 miles of travel, I did one show in Vegas in 2014. So the world is my stage, and I don't know how long I've got on the air with you guys tonight. I don't want to monopolize the program, but I promised I would make an announcement about the Steeler project. And you might see that little banner with 7 albums on there. And there is a Steeler project that I'd like to announce on your show tonight, if that's okay.
Sure, go.
Well, this is a compilation of pre-Yngwie recordings brought about by the original Steeler guitarist, Michael Dunnigan. Now, he and I had not a falling out, but we parted ways in 1982, and he was replaced in the band by Yngwie. And this, for him, was kind of a bucket list thing, and he sent me some recordings that he had from pre-Yngwie era, and the actual audio quality was really good. I don't know that the songs or the lead singer, I had a long way to go at the time, but for creating a snapshot of what Steeler was in Hollywood and L.A. in 1982 and 81 and 82, before Yngwie came to America, I thought it was pretty cool. And for him, it was a bucket list thing. He didn't get to be on the album. Yngwie got the glory, and Michael has gone on to other things. But we talked, not to say buried the hatchet, but kind of healed some of those old wounds. And F&A Records has stepped up to the plate to release the Steeler compilation on the 35th anniversary of the original Steeler album, September 23rd this year. And this is a special project for me, but only because of its historical significance. It's not like, hey, listen to this guy, he sings his ass off. Yeah, there's some stupid high screams like I used to do back in the day, but
right.
I was still developing. I had a long way to go. And I'm really, really excited to share this with people for a lot of reasons. First of all, it means a lot to Michael, the original guitar player who, can you imagine getting the boot and having Yngwie take your place, and the rest is history, and he deserves this. So I'm glad to do this for him, and also for the fans who remember, before Yngwie came to America, Steeler was headlining all of the major venues in Southern California,
right,
selling out, and we had bands like Metallica and Rat opening for us. That was all before Yngwie. People don't realize that. They just don't know. The history kind of rewrites itself. As they say, the victor writes the history. But
right.
The truth is, before Yngwie came to America, Steeler was one of the top-drawing bands in Hollywood at multiple, 2 or 3 shows a night sometimes, selling out major venues. And that's what gave me the power to get Yngwie to America and get him in the band in the first place. So this new album is called Come Hell or Hollywood, and it's a compilation of Steeler recordings from 1981 and 82, the pre-Yngwie era, when Steeler really did rule the Hollywood club scene in the early 80s with bands like Motley Crue and Quiet Riot, Rat, or Dubrow it was at the time. So I'm excited to announce that on the Classic Metal Show. I did mention it on my radio show, but no press release has gone out. We haven't really mentioned it. The deal is done, and the album cover's done, and the recording remastering has been done. So I'm proud to announce that on the Classic Metal Show, because that, Steeler from 81, 82, that is truly classic metal.
Absolutely. Very cool.
Dude. Well, Ron, I got to ask you the important question, the one you've been dodging the whole night. What did you think of my books?
Dude, thank you for asking. I'm glad to to give you a live on-air review, very, very entertaining and painful to take that journey with you, and what you've been through. And I'm really glad that I got to know that side of you, because I've known you for a long time, but I never read the book. I never knew the story behind who Chris Aiken really is. And, dude, you are a badass. You're an inspiration to anyone who could possibly read those books and identify with your experiences and your love of rock and roll. I think there's a couple of books that I still need to catch up on.
Sure.
I bought a couple of them, and there's a couple more that I need to catch up on. But you're certainly one of my favorite authors, and just to get to know you all over again through your writing was a true thrill, and thank you for sharing your stories with us.
Oh, that's no problem, dude. And I'll send you the other ones. Don't go online and buy them. I was not real happy that you went online and bought those two. I would have just
no, absolutely, man. Long overdue, because you and I have been friends for a while, and
sure,
I get the same thing. And I've got a book, and people when they read it, I just hope that we're still friends after they read my book. Yeah, I got your book. That's pretty cool. And we're still friends. You still like me? Yeah, it's cool. And I enjoyed that aspect of it, and thank you for sharing the stories, man. Amazing shit.
But believe me, dude, when the divorce book came out, there was a whole lot of friends that I was like, oh boy, this isn't going to go well. But all good, man. Well, dude, obviously you have a ton of projects coming in the next 6 months, I guess. So give the plugs, man. Where can people keep up with you? Because Lord knows you need more than just a memory to keep up with everything you're doing.
Absolutely, and that's why I try and keep it simple. RonKeel.com. In this day and age of social media and all of the other avenues of communication, whether it's those different messaging services or whatever, it's really difficult to keep up with your favorite artists or your always. I just advise people to go to the website, RonKeel.com, because there's always where are you playing at? How can I get your book? How do I listen to your radio show? Any of those any questions that you have can all be answered on that site, RonKeel.com. All my tour dates, links to listen live to the radio show, and everything in between, RonKeel.com. And there's links to social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff, but it all goes through that one central hub, which is my website, RonKeel.com.
Excellent. Well, Ron, it's always a pleasure to have you here on the show. I'm glad you took the time out of your Memorial Day weekend to spend a few minutes of it with us and share all the goings on in the world of Ron Keel. So keep up the fight, brother. We're always got your back.
Hey, I appreciate that. You guys are a true inspiration to me, and you've been a big part of my career, both on and off the radio. I love what you're doing, and I appreciate the support. All
right, Ron. Well, Ron, we're going to close out this interview with something from the Reloaded here. We got The Last Ride. And what's the story behind this?
Man, with my last breath, I'll be screaming loud. That's basically my message. This is the first song I wrote for the record. When it's last call, I'll take a double shot, man. I mean, live life to the fullest. You never know when it's going to be your last ride. And the message behind these lyrics is the story of my life. Thanks for playing it.
Excellent. All right, we'll go visit Ron over at his website at ronkeel.com and keep up with all the goings-on with Ron and so on and so forth. And all right, Ron, we'll go back to your enjoying your ball game, and time to crack open that whiskey and have a good drink. Have a drink on me.
Let's do that. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
And so here it is. This is Ron Keel from the Metal Cowboy Reloaded. This one is The Last Ride, exclusively here. What, Ron?
On the Classic Metal Show. Crank it up and keep it up.
It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is Ron Keel from the Metal Cowboy Reloaded release. And that is The Last Ride. And I want to thank our good friend Ron Keel for being a part of the Classic Metal Show. As you know, I've known Ron a long time, and he's gotten into his own radio thing. He was doing the Streets of Rock and Roll, where he had a internet radio show for a while, and both Chris and I had an opportunity to co-host that thing or do a guest slot on it. And Ron is, doing all kinds of stuff, recording, still doing radio, touring, all that good stuff.
Yeah, releasing records from the past, from the present. He's a busy fuck, man.
No kidding. So, wow. Talk about a work ethic.
Yeah, no kidding. Love Ron, though. He's good people.
Yeah, well, you know what? I still can't get over, the short-lived adventure up there at that Badlands Pond. I mean, he basically took a big chance, packed it all up, sold his place in Vegas, moved to South Dakota, and, as Ron mentioned in the interview, I did go up there and saw this place for myself, and it was a fantastic complex.
Sure.
But, when the state laws changed up there, because if people don't know the story behind Badlands Pond, the guy who started it, his name's Chuck Brennan, and he's got a whole bunch of dollar loan stores.
Right.
And he has them in several states, and, he's a very well-off guy, and he's from Sioux Falls, and he wanted to do something for the city or the town he grew up in, and he wanted to kind of make his mark there, and opened up this big concert venue and had this gold press and this guns, and he wanted to. I think that he went as far as to buy like a racetrack, and all that other kind of stuff. And so it was going to be a big multi-entertainment complex type thing.
Right.
And then the state of South Dakota outlawed the, what they call it, predatory lending, I guess.
Right.
They outlawed that. And so he closed up his dollar loan stores in South Dakota because he had to.
Right.
And he said, fuck this.
Yeah, he said, fuck you, pal.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm closing shit up. If I can't have my dollar loan stores here in South Dakota, well, you can't have this venue and all that either. I mean, I'm sure there's more to the story than that, but that's basically what it boiled down to in a nutshell.
Right.
So there you are. And Ron and the rest of the, people who banked on this thing to be a successful venture, they basically got left out in the cold.
Yeah, they definitely got fucked right in the proverbial ass.
No kidding. So, so Ron obviously bounced back with his wife, successfully battling cancer, and, Ron with his talents and his can-do attitude to just bounce back from that, figure out what to do, and make a new game plan, and just hit it hard.
Yeah, and just keeps right on trucking, man.
He does, absolutely. So, anyway, we salute Ron, as well as everybody who's served in the armed forces, because we want to remember the people in the armed forces that protect this country. And over Memorial Day, it's not all about the Indy racing and listening to the Classic Metal Show.
Yeah, you can't forget about the barbecue ribs.
Right. I see somebody put my car in the chat room.
A lot of cocks in the chat room tonight. What's going on here?
Not really sure what that's all about, but I see somebody put a 74 Nova Super Sport in the chat, and I have one of those.
You have that? Is that yours?
That is not mine, but it could be. It's very similar. Yeah. I actually have the SS striping on mine and all that stuff, but yeah.
You wouldn't have this lower class ride, would you? Fucking bag of shit.
Yeah. Look at Bon Jovi sucking a dick.
That's not new.
Wow. Well, coming up here in just a few minutes, we've got our mob writer, or mob. That's right. What do you want to call him? Is he an author, writer?
He's an author / I don't know, commentary guy for documentaries.
Sure.
I mean, he's been in everything, man. He's I'm looking at the resume that he sent over. He's got 9 books, it looks like. He's contributed to 2 more. He's been in 30 articles. He's appeared in, Jesus Christ, 1,000 fucking interviews and appearances. He's been everywhere, man.
And he wants to talk to us?
Well, and I said at the beginning of the show, I'll say it again. I asked him to come on because me and you are both obsessives about fucking mob documentaries.
Yeah, we are. We love that stuff.
So why not? Let's find out. Let's find out what this guy really fucking knows.
Yeah, and if he's a fan of our show, that makes him even better.
Or worse.
Too funny.
He might be a fucking dumbbell, that he gets entertainment from our stupid shit. He might be like, I get all my information from Wikipedia.
Right. Well, before we get to his interview, Ron mentioned something during the interview that I was not aware of.
What's that?
I did not know that Gina Zamparelli passed away.
Oh, yeah, she passed away last week.
It was May 21st.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fucking tragedy all by itself. What's she, like 50?
59.
Yeah.
I met Gina a little over a year ago. Maybe it's closer to 2 years, but she was out at one of Bob's Inside Metal screenings.
Right.
And I went out to that, and, I got to meet Gina and hang out with her and took a couple pictures with her and stuff. And had no idea that she was sick and that she had passed away.
You talk to the guy from Chicago, he gets thrown out the band. You talk to Gina, she dies.
Yeah.
Fuck is wrong with you, Neely? Stop meeting people. I mean, for God's sakes, you're killing them all.
She apparently had an aggressive cancer of the brain.
Oof.
It's called glioblastoma. Yeah, glioblastoma.
Yeah, glioblastoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that.
Had no idea.
Yeah, she passed away during, early last week.
Wow. Well,
Bummer.
What a shame. She was a very nice girl.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody that I know that knew her said that she was, a big time influence.
Yeah, she was huge in the early 80s scene, and she got a lot of bands played and, promoted
Shows.
and, yeah, all that kind of stuff. She was, one of those people. She was very dedicated to her craft.
Yeah.
So, sorry to hear that. I wasn't aware, and when he said that, I was just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, they're dropping fast.
No good.
Who's next? Me? You?
Hey, we never know.
Yeah. Well, like Ron said, we're on a day-to-day contract here.
Yeah, we basically are.
Yep.
All right. Well, you think our guy Scott might be ready for us?
I'm sure he is.
All right. Well, you had a good idea, and I think I'll act on it. But you thought that we should maybe play some Mob Rules.
Yeah.
To bring Scott onto the show.
Yeah, because we think the mob rules.
Right. And so I thought maybe since we haven't played any of this in a long time, I thought maybe we would play the Benedictum version.
Okay. Perfect.
Because we really haven't played a lot of Benedictum in a while.
Yeah, and we can do that legally.
Yes, we can. That's why I thought I'd play that.
Better than me. I was just like, we could cheat.
Well, as soon as you said Mob Rules, I was thinking, hey, let's play some Benedictum version.
Works for me.
All right. Well, we're going to play some the V, doing the Mob Rules, and we'll get Scott on the phone and find out what his story is.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. From the Benedictum Uncreation release, this is Benedictum with the Mob Rules exclusively here
on your classic metal show.
This is Veronica from Benedictum, and there's something really wrong up in here. On the Classic Metal Show!